Few people know about the striking revelations of Nikola Tesla, in which he lifts the veil over one of humanity's oldest mysteries, the mystery of existence after death. What lies beyond the final boundary of our biological being? What awaits us at the moment when we take our last breath? Nikola Tesla claimed that he knew the answer to this question and fortunately left the key to understanding it in his secret diary. Watch this video until the end, and you will learn what exact discovery the greatest physicist made, and the mystery of what happens after leaving life will unfold before you. Tesla left behind not only numerous great inventions, but also a vast number of mystical enigmas. Only recently, researchers gained access to part of his personal notes, and thanks to them it became clear. The scientist sincerely feared that future generations might never understand who he really was and what truths he had uncovered. He wrote, "Today, on the day of my 80th birthday, I suddenly wondered, what will remain after me? My works, my inventions, and also the fables and myths that will be invented about me. When I am gone, they will try to distort my name. So while I am still alive, I must tell my story myself, so that people may know the real Nikola Tesla." The most astonishing thing is that among these notes, researchers found passages dedicated to a topic Tesla had never spoken about openly before: the existence of God, the nature of the human soul, and what happens to a person after completing the earthly path. In one of the fragments he wrote, "A person does not die. He becomes light and continues to exist." This raises a logical question. How could the scientist have obtained such knowledge? Tesla repeatedly admitted that the origin of his insights remained a mystery to him. He said, "When I reflect, certain ideas come in an instant. They appear before me like a fully finished blueprint, vivid and precise." His ability to mentally see complex three-dimensional mechanisms astonished his contemporaries. He could rotate the device in his mind, change details, eliminate errors, as if holding a real object in his hands. In his diary, Tesla recalled that the first such insight came to him when he was 26 years old, during an ordinary walk. He saw in his imagination a complete design of an alternating current motor, so detailed that he immediately began drawing it on the sand, since he did not carry a notebook with him. According to him, it was from that day that the flow of insights became constant and never left him until the end of his life. Over time, he admitted that thanks to these states, he seemingly learned to look into the future. He wrote, "My mind can penetrate through time and find what does not yet exist." The question of the nature of these insights troubled him for many years. Tesla analyzed what was happening, conducted experiments, trying to determine the source of these unusual states. And eventually he reached a conclusion that shocked not only himself, but all who studied his notes. In Tesla's opinion, his genius ideas and sudden revelations were not just the work of his brain. He assumed that they were sent to him by a highly developed extraterrestrial civilization, and at first he truly believed that the contacts came from inhabitants of Mars or some other planet. However, many years later, Tesla, as he writes, understood the true source of these signals. The answer came unexpectedly. "One morning I woke up with a clear understanding. All ideas are sent to me by God. Until that day I did not believe in his existence, although I grew up in a priest's family." On the day when Tesla first realized the existence of God, he was in a hotel room. According to the scientist, the thought struck him so powerfully and clearly that he literally jumped out of bed, abandoned all his tasks, and ran outside. He stopped the first taxi he saw and asked to be taken to the nearest Orthodox church. In his diary, he wrote that he had never in his life experienced such a combination of inner shock and absolute clarity. But even more astonishing was that Tesla tried to explain why God chose him, a man of science who had remained a convinced skeptic for many years. He wrote, "Science serves not patent holders and not individual countries, but all of humanity. Even without having faith, I was still moving in the right direction. And all this time, God patiently sent me evidence of his existence." Tesla described in detail how he imagined God. He claimed that God is energy, energy eternal, primary, and unchanging. He wrote, "In human understanding, this energy manifests as light. "In the beginning there was light. Light filled the universe, and from it appeared the heavenly bodies, the human being, and everything else." According to his belief, light is the beginning of all things, and matter is only an infinite diversity of forms of this light. Based on this, Tesla claimed that everything born of light, after completing its earthly existence, turns back into light. That is why he said, "A person does not die. He becomes light, continuing his existence in its primordial form." In his secret diary, he left lines that he hoped would help people understand the main point. "Each of us will gradually become immortal light. This is not resurrection, but a return to the primary energy from which the soul emerged. Becoming light, we set out to wander through the boundless expanses of the universe. This is true immortality." These records aroused enormous interest among researchers because they unexpectedly resonated with modern scientific theories. According to quantum mechanics, information does not disappear without a trace. Moreover, today more and more experts consider consciousness an energetic structure capable of existing independently of the physical body. Some scientists who studied Tesla's diaries concluded that he intuitively foresaw many discoveries of the 20th and 21st centuries: the nature of energy, the structure of space-time, quantum non-locality, and even the concepts of multidimensional existence of consciousness. It is also interesting that in his notes, Tesla described episodes that can be interpreted as consciousness leaving the boundaries of the body. He spoke of states in which he observed himself from the outside, heard voices that suggested solutions, and felt the presence of a certain higher mind with which, according to him, he was connected every day of his life. "At times, I see the world differently from others. On the boundary of sleep and wakefulness, I feel that I enter a stream of light from which knowledge comes. This knowledge is not mine. I only receive it. I am an instrument," he wrote. In his diary, Tesla admitted that with age he increasingly felt that a human being is not just a biological shell, but something incomparably more complex. "We are beings of light, temporarily enclosed in a physical body. Death is merely liberation." But the most powerful records concerned his reflections on the soul. Tesla said he saw dreams in which people who had long died came to him as bright, shining figures. They spoke to him, showed him fragments of the future, and many of these visions eventually came true. He admitted he could not explain the nature of this phenomenon, but he was certain it was not just the work of imagination. Tesla also wrote that from time to time he heard voices which, according to him, came not from outside but as if from within space itself. These voices suggested solutions that later became fundamental discoveries of humanity. The scientist claimed that in such moments he felt his mind was connected to a single source, to that very primordial light, from which everything arises and to which everything eventually returns. One of the most unusual episodes of his diary was the description of an encounter with beings composed of pure energy. He did not call them extraterrestrials in the usual sense. He described them as intelligent structures of light, existing outside of time. According to Tesla, these entities were capable of transmitting knowledge directly into consciousness. The diary contains the following lines: "When I was young, I thought my ideas were the product of my mind. Now I understand. Ideas are messages. We receive them just as an antenna receives a signal. We are instruments through which light manifests in the material world." These words were decades ahead of modern scientific concepts, suggesting that the human brain can function as a quantum receiver, interacting with the informational field of the universe. Over time, Tesla came to a deep conviction. After death, consciousness does not disappear, but transitions into a higher form of existence. He compared it to a spark breaking free from matter and returning to its original source, the infinite ocean of light. "We are like waves that return to the light that gave birth to them. This is not an end. This is a transition." Researchers were especially astonished by how closely Tesla's words matched the accounts of people who experienced clinical death. Many of them described movement toward a bright light, a sense of liberation, unconditional love, and unity with all that exists. Tesla, who never experienced such a state, described the same, relying solely on his visions and sudden insights. In one of the final fragments of the diary, he formulated an important conclusion. Death is not disappearance but awakening. The true death is a life lived without understanding who you are. He claimed that a human being is a traveler between worlds who comes into a physical shell only for a short time to follow the path of knowledge, experience, and discovery of truth, and then returns to the realm of original light, where there is no time, no pain, no fear, and no decay of matter. Today, many scientists, physicists, specialists in quantum information theory, neurobiologists, are finding more and more evidence that consciousness may indeed be a fundamental element of the universe and not merely a product of the brain. Against this background, Tesla's ideas no longer seem strange, they begin to look prophetic. In the final part of the diary, the scientist formulated a thought that amazes with its simplicity and depth. I understood that light is a form of God. When we become light, we return home. Whoever Nikola Tesla was, a genius, a visionary, or a man who managed to see more than others, his words make us reflect on the most important questions. What awaits us beyond the last breath? Where does our consciousness go? And are we truly beings of light temporarily enclosed in a body? Everyone will learn the answers when their time comes. But for now, we have an opportunity to look at the mystery of death through the eyes of one of the greatest minds in history. If this topic resonates with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Wishing everyone kindness and light.